Thank you for joining me on this presentation. This presentation is about potentially unwanted programs, or PUP for short. Now, what are PUPs? Well, PUPs are additional programs that you inadvertently end up installing alongside software that you may have downloaded and installed for a valid reason. It is becoming more and more common for software developers to partner with marketing companies, advertising firms, and organizations that make their money from advertising, or worse, learning about your internet browser behavior to then further push targeted advertising to you. These companies in turn provide the software developers a percentage of their income made from these programs for each count of the software that gets installed alongside. As an example, I may have recently bought a digital camera, and after I become familiar with it, I may decide to look for software on the internet that allows me to enhance and edit the photos I have taken. So I open my browser, type a few search phrases in Google, and go about looking for various software. I come across one that has some really good features, and the more I read about it, the better it seems. I also note that on the website there are quotes from various customers saying how good and easy the software is to use. All of these things help me reach my decision to get the software, and I look for how much it's going to cost me. I find that the software has a free version and a paid version, but surprisingly, upon looking at the features of the free version, I find that hey, I don't actually need to pay to use most of the features I want. Great! I download the free version of the software, and once it's on my computer, I double-click on the file and start the setup process. The setup process was a breeze. I skipped the terms and conditions. Who reads them anyway? Just ticked on accept and carried on. I clicked next a couple more times, and then it zipped through, installed the program. The last screen said something about a shortcut that was placed on my desktop for convenience, and all I had to do was click on finish. Easy. I look for the shortcut on my desktop and start the program, and sure enough, it was a winner. Within half an hour, I was fairly confident with using the program. I enhanced a few of my photographs, and overall was pretty happy with the software. Excellent outcome, well satisfied. So far, it all sounds great, doesn't it? But this is the frustrating thing about PUPs, because of its very nature and its very design to fool you. Now, it may be that I might return to my computer at another point in time and decide to check my email or browse the internet, go on Facebook, whatever. And when I do so, something strikes me as odd. I notice certain adverts around the screen that weren't there before. I also notice that every time I click in a field on the website that I might require to type into, another window might pop up, sometimes blocking the view, other times behind the window I'm currently in. Either way, these windows tend to always display websites I have not heard of, or advertising gimmicky sales offers, gambling, all sorts of things. I get frustrated with all this nonsense and decide to close off and restart my computer. After restarting, I try going onto the website again. This time I notice something straight away. My start page has changed. When I click on my internet browser, I would normally get to Google, but not this time. This time, there's something completely different. It still looks like a search provider, and I can still search for things on it, but now I'm completely inundated with adverts and pop-ups. I even try to get clever and go into my browser settings, try changing my start page to Google again. It works when I click on the home button, so that's great, but the moment I shut my browser off and start it up again, it's back to that other search provider. So, listening to this example, does it sound familiar? Have you ever been struck by something like this? Well, in the industry, this behavior is actually called hijacking. Sounds a bit extreme, but that's basically what it's called. And what has happened is that your web browser has actually been hijacked by a PUP. What are some of the things that you need to look out for that indicates that you may have a potentially unwanted program installed? Other than what I just described as symptoms in the example, you may also find additional software which you don't recognize. that might offer improvements and enhancements to the performance of your computer. These may all of a sudden start when your computer starts and tell you that you desperately need to scan your computer to fix lots of problems it has already detected. Upon scanning, you're quite shocked to see that it has picked up hundreds of issues within your system, and it's almost always showing you incredible features that you would get if you pay a measly sum of money to go to the premium version, ensuring that your computer will remain at its best performance forever in time. Essentially, what you're being fed is a magic pill for your computer. You may also start seeing additional menu bars in your web browser which provide all manner of links to news, games, entertainment, weather, that sort of thing. So now that we know what happens and what to look out for, how do we minimize the risk? This is a method that I use and I strongly recommend. To explain, I'm going to have to go back to my example earlier, and what we're going to do is change the way we behave. In the example, I had downloaded the program and went about setting it up. So this is what I did. When I actually double-clicked and ran the setup program, what I did was I skipped the terms and conditions, just clicked accept and carried on. That's fine. No, like I said, no one reads the terms and conditions anyway. I clicked next a couple of times and then it went through the install program. The behavior I'm going to change is here, not simply to click on next. What I'm going to do is look for a specific screen that comes up. When you start to install a program, you're always greeted first and foremost with some form of terms and conditions which you have to agree to before it allows you to progress. Now, typically the second or third screen will always ask you whether you want to do a standard install or a custom install. This is what's important. What I'm going to do is choose the custom install. This is the change in behavior I am asking for you all to do. By choosing the custom option, what you're saying to the install program is that you want to make every decision about the install process along the way, and not follow the standard script dictated by the software developers, which potentially installs things that you don't want. With the custom option selected, you will be prompted for where you want to install the program on your computer. This option is always already filled out for you, so it's just a matter of clicking next here. Now, if there are PUPs attached, what you will get are screens that will now actually tell you what other programs are going to be installed and give you options to not install them. These options are available either by unticking the option next to the names of the various toolbars or software that's there, so you just untick or uncheck those boxes. You may have to click on a button that says no thanks, or refuse offer, or skip. With the custom option, you will increase the number of screens you have to deal with by an approximate value of maybe 2 or at the most 3 before the actual install process becomes the familiar progress bar that you see as it sets up the software on your machine, and you're finally greeted with the click finish to finalize it all. If you have never done this before, then it will be a slight learning curve, but I promise you that it is an essential one. And by spending only a couple more minutes through this process, you'll be saving yourself hours of hassle and cost later on. Something to take note here is that when it comes to viruses and PUPs, the best we can do is minimize the risk. Although antivirus software, anti-malware, spyware software are all there to combat these types of programs, their design in nature is to mask their existence and essentially fool our trusting nature. By following what I suggest here, you are drastically reducing the risk to your system and greatly improving your knowledge of what is being installed with only your consent. If you have any questions, you can reach me via my website or Facebook page. If you feel that your computer is already at risk, my services are available and details for on-site support are on my website also. Thank you for listening and keep safe. Bye-bye.